Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of the Last Night's Game podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butch on Siegfried. And if you get invited to a Kentucky Derby party this weekend and your plan is to focus on the outfit and hopefully no one asks you about the race, save this episode because the Derby is known as the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, which means the entire race is over in about 2 minutes. So today we are giving you exactly what to say, who to cheer for, and how to enjoy those 2 minutes like you've been doing this for years. And here to share all of his wisdom with us is my favorite brother, my favorite co-host, Scott. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on to talk Run for the Roses and talk Derby to me.
We were here for it. I wore my hat for my fascinator. Normally I wear my giant hat, but we're going just like when I went to the Derby, I should have gone up instead of out. That's what I'm doing today in today's episode.
Because you famously said that wearing the large hats makes it impossible to walk around.
If
And
you
just
were
get hit in
Asia
the face.
Wilson,
Depending on how tall you are,
yeah.
you're okay. But
Yeah. If you were Asia Wilson strolling through the grounds of Churchill Downs with a giant wide hat on, you would be perfectly fine. But someone who is 5'4", not so much.
not so good.
Not so good.
You have
So
every other benefit in life, but unfortunately
true.
wearing hats to
Basketball skills and hats that she has. Besides that, opportunities for hats. So you said this is Run for the Roses. Start us off with why Run for the Roses? The Derby has so many nicknames, I feel like. And so why Run for the Roses?
because the winner of the Kentucky Derby gets that tremendously large bouquet of roses placed around its neck that every horse dreams of as they grow up in the stables. Every morning they wake up to go practice and run, they just dream of getting that large rose bouquet placed on them.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a bouquet. It's more like a scarf scenario, maybe?
Yeah, I wasn't sure the exact terminology, but
Shawl?
yes.
Yeah, something like
But
that.
every horse, it's one day.
One day we can make it. So as we dive into this, if I'm gonna fire up a sports fan this week around the Kentucky Derby, what am I going to talk about?
There has never been a repeat champion of the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, why?
Unlike other sports, Kentucky Derby, you can only be a 3-year-old male horse to run in the Derby. So we do not have the technology to, go back in time machines yet. So these horses only get one chance to run for the Roses. So this is it. They've got 2 minutes for pretty much to set up the rest of their lives. You have a fast race, you're set forever.
It's true. If you just have one good race, like this is
Mhm.
the song, Lose Yourself. Like this is your one shot, your one
Yes.
opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
Only comes once
much
in a
like the
lifetime.
Olympics, you have 4 years to train. These horses have 3 years, and then they get to go off to the farm and go have a lot of fun and get paid.
Get paid for it. But also
Yes,
Olympians can come back. So there's that.
Olympians can come back, that's true. So
That can
these
come back.
horses, this is unlike any other, the pressure once
It's
they
true.
get loaded in that starting gate.
It's a lot of pressure, and we've seen, like, Bob Baffert, who's a famous trainer, and you may recognize him. If you watch the race, he has blue tinted glasses on. Like, the
Yes.
cheating, the things that people are pushing the envelope because this is
Mhm.
such a key piece, and also because if you win the Derby, the stud fee that you can charge from based on this horse is massive, so the money-making opportunities has nothing to do with the actual Derby purse. It has to do with later on in life when you're able to stud this horse out and make obscene amounts of money off of it for racehorsing.
Abs- Purse is very large. In 2024, they raised it, I think, 3.1 to the winner, which is the highest it's ever been. So the purse is very nice to win, but like you said, it's more about what happens after the race with people wanting the bloodlines of a Kentucky Derby champion or a Triple Crown champion, depending on how they do after the Kentucky Derby. So it's very
Right.
much results driven.
Yeah, of course. So talk to me. Okay, so the Kentucky Derby is the first of like 3 of the Triple Crown races. So it starts with the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
What
And
are the
then
other
we
2?
have the Preakness Stakes and then the Belmont Stakes. And what makes this Triple Crown so unique and so hard to win is the turnaround time for these horses. So you've only got about 2 weeks in between each race for these horses to recover. And these horses are treated like, the most elite athletes in the world with their recovery and, how they feel after the race, how they recover, are they ready? That's travel. So we've seen past years where the Kentucky Derby winner won't even race in the next race just because it's not ready and they don't want to push it and, have anything bad happen to the horse.
Well,
And that's
yeah.
also a lot of controversy with the length in between. That's, everyone likes to talk about this time of year.
Well, and it's also interesting because you're getting new fresh horses that are
Mhm.
coming into these other 2 races. So you may get 1 or 2 that carry over from the Derby, but you're not getting it's not the same is it fleet? What word I'm looking for? It's not the same roster essentially going from one to
Yeah.
the next. You're getting new fresh legs in there. So it is really interesting. And did you send something? Did I see something about the Derby buying the pre
Yes, this leading up to the race, this Kentucky Derby, they decided to drop a ton of money and actually buy the Preakness, which is the second race of the Triple Crown. And there's a lot of speculation exactly why they did that, but most likely to probably move the dates.
That's what I was gonna that's kind of what made me wonder it.
So that way that they can make this to where all the horses can recover and make sure that they race. Because once, if that Kentucky Derby winner is not in that second race, it loses a ton of luster. And then even the Belmont,
Sure.
which is, a very prestigious race also loses its luster. So they want to make sure that traditionalists probably will hate it, but I assume that they would like to move the dates a little bit to make sure that, we do get that winner going to the second race to set up the potential for the Triple Crown.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It's all about the
Yeah,
money.
it's all about the money and traditions. We've seen, in every sport, traditions really don't matter when money
No,
becomes involved. With
that's
college
right.
sports, there was tons of traditions and no one cares now.
Those are out the door. We can
Those
pay
are
you
out the
for it.
door. Yes, we'll buy off your sadness with
That's exactly
hundreds
it. We'll
hundreds
figure
of
it
millions
out.
of dollars, yeah.
Well, something that might also fire people up a little bit. Give me this go-to conversation starter with Derby's fans because there's a lot here we can talk about.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
I mean, you think you nailed it when you said these horses are treated better than some of the best elite
Oh,
athletes
by
in
far.
the world. And it starts by flying private on Air Horse 1, which is a transporter plane that is set up to fly these horses to different races that has in-flight snacks, their own little perfect little padded stall scenarios, all the things.
Yes, I mean, yeah, the pictures are pretty hilarious watching the horses get loaded onto the whole plane and get put in their stalls. They have the flight attendants walking around with hay snacks. I used to
I would assume maybe a carrot. They probably don't eat carrots. They probably eat protein-packed carrots,
freshly prepared meals.
I'm
Yes.
sure.
So Air Horse One, very cool. Probably smells very terrible, I assume.
I would assume.
And I don't know who gets to the contract to clean that afterwards, but I don't think I would want to be a part of that situation.
No, I would like to be their insurance agent. Like, could you imagine or not their insurance agent? Because 'cause I'm sure every
Probably
little
not. No.
bump and nick and God forbid there's an incident.
Yes. So like we said, their recovery is incredible. Their travel is first class. So these horses, a lot of people, I think the conversation is like the treatment of animals. Why are we racing horses and things like that? These horses are living like the best lives imaginable
Yeah,
by far.
minus being raced for a living, but besides that, yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Minus that part.
it's better than being in maybe a kid's petting zoo.
Yeah. Like the sad little donkeys in the petting zoo.
Yeah, I know. Oh, poor
Yeah.
things. Now, if you don't wanna talk about racing or the horses, there's so much around the Derby that is not related to any of that. Look no further than the fashion. I mean, they started as a way to attract high society, which we can talk about that in a moment, but now they're like the big, bold they're really the most exciting part about the event, in my opinion, is the fashion.
Fashion is number one always, right? And
Yes.
they've taken it to the extremes with these ridiculous derby hats that we spoke about in the beginning. You had people with 5 foot wide hats walking through the crowd, hitting people in the eyeballs, and
Mhm.
random like horse sculptures coming off their head.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, and then you have the people who have, like, the homemade ones that have, like,
Mhm.
racing horses on them and different things, so you really get a mix, but, like, the fashion
Yes.
it's funny because it talks about how it attracted high society, but I've never seen probably a group of people who were drunker as a
Mhm.
whole than my derby experience.
See, you dress for the part, you look good, and then you just get hammered drunk. But
Well,
you
there's
looked
no
good, so to
yeah,
start the
that's
race, to
exactly it.
start the day at least.
Well, what I don't think people understand is it's a
Yeah.
full day of horse races. So you start at let's call it 9 AM. You start with race 1 and the Derby might be race 13 or race 7, and you go race, then an hour to an hour and a half off, then in one race, hour and a half off, another race. So it's like, what else are you supposed to do besides bet, eat, and drink?
Yeah, those mint juleps start to pile up, and then you think your betting strategy gets better and better as the day goes
Of course
on.
it does.
After about mint julep number 3, you're probably the best sports or horse bettor in the world,
Yeah, I
I
mean, like,
assume.
our tickets came with the access to, like, a private like, a space that for,
Mhm.
it's 500 people in there or whatever, but it's, food buffet, free drinks, you had your own betting windows,
Yes.
and you just have enough free drinks because it was also, like, 30 degrees the day we went. It was so cold, but also, what like I said, what else are you going to do? You're gonna walk around for a few minutes, but, like, what else are you gonna do?
Eat and drink and
Eat
bet.
and drink, and hence why about 5:30 PM, 6, 7 o'clock when this race
When that
starts,
race goes off, everyone's
everybody's really drunk.
lubed up, as people like to say.
Yes, they are definitely ready to rock, and so to hop in their cars and drive home.
And I mean, and hopefully it does not rain. Did it rain when you went,
No,
or
it
was it just
almost
freezing
snow it
cold?
was the Oaks. So the Oaks is
Oh, okay, Oaks
the
rain.
day before, for everyone who's listening, for the girl horses, the female
Yes.
horses, 3-year-old female horses race in the Oaks, and it's all pink themed. So it was basically ready to snow when we went for the Oaks. I remember having, like, being somewhere else and then having to go to Louisville. I was in Vegas with you, and I had to go to Nordstrom Rack and buy a coat
Mhm.
because the weather was great and sunny, and then within a day, it was ready to snow. So I was like, "Oh, great. Nothing I packed for this party is going to actually work."
That's you gotta be able to pivot, call audibles.
I did not do
That's what
that
I
well.
follow all about. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago when it rained, and I think that Jack Harlow was the Riders Up
Mhm.
announcer, and he made people carry him over the mud because he
Yes.
had, like, a white suit on, and
Yes, I do remember
that's one of
that.
my favorite memories, like, I think I bring it up every year, but it's
Yeah,
very
well, like,
funny.
I carried him like a king. So
So
Riders Up is kind of like a grand marshal, if you will.
mhm,
We had Jack Harlow 2 years ago. Last year was Simone Biles.
mhm,
Mm, the really interesting thing is, like, when it rains, obviously, even when it's not raining, jockeys wear multiple either, like they used to wear multiple goggles, but now they
mhm,
have, like, little tear-off sheets, so if you can imagine, like, a plastic sheet over your goggles, and they pull those off because the mud is flying everywhere, and so imagine that's on a normal race, let alone when it's
yeah, when
sopping
it's
wet.
muddy.
Mhm,
That's an interesting thing to watch for, that they're pulling off
mhm.
so
They
they have
used to
many
do the
different
gog
layers.
Yeah, they used to do the goggles, but now it's like the race car windows, right? Like NASCAR and all them, they have to peel
They just
off
rip them
sheets
off.
essentially. Yeah, instead of having to
Smart,
wipe a windshield.
very smart.
Not environmentally safe, but it's still pretty darn smart.
We're not worried about the environment at that point.
No, I don't think there's anything we're worried about on this point besides money and winning, so
Yes,
but we talk about people drinking. The official cocktail, which we'll post the video of you making the official cocktail, the mint julep. It's been the official cocktail since 1938, and of course, Woodford Reserve is the key, like, sponsor of the mint julep at the Derby, but there's something like 120,000 juleps, once again, hence why people are drunk,
yes.
served on Derby Day.
I mean, the official drink, and as the official mixologist of last night's game, having made it, it is a little sweet, so I don't know how many people can actually consume without getting, sick or hungover.
Mhm.
But over, 120,000 is a pretty ridiculous numbers. The crowd is feeling very good.
Yep, I think I had 1 and I was like, "I'm good. This is dessert
And I
with
think
alcohol in it."
they make you feel like you have to have one, even if you don't want to.
You do have to have one, and ideally, you get it out of, like, a Moscow Mule goldish colored cup because then
Mhm.
you feel real extra fancy.
Are you intend to take that home and then likely leave it somewhere and not care about it?
Well, I should have brought one. I still have, like, our stemless wine glasses from the Oaks, and
Okay.
we have the mint julep glasses,
Okay, so
so we still have a couple of them. Not many, but yes, we brought them home with us. I probably put them in all fairness, I probably put them in my hat because I
ooh,
didn't wanna carry
that is
them,
an idea.
and because my hat was so giant, it was like, "Well, we make this into a purse."
A hat with a mint julep, and you just get the little straw, so you can just pour it in your efficient,
I mean, it'd be like, "Just fill me up. 5 of these go in here at once."
and then just ooh,
Then just
There's an idea.
This is an idea. If you're
Free
listening,
idea out there for the people.
give the people what they want. Now, if you don't want to cheer for fashion or for cocktails, who do you cheer for if you don't have a team to cheer for this week?
Choose your own adventure based on the horses' names.
Now, this is like picking a wine, going down the aisle at the store and being like, I like that one because I like that label.
Hmm.
Picking your horse name because, in all fairness, the favorite is the favorite, but favorite doesn't always win. So you might as well pick them by really fun names. But who is the favorite first, I guess? Give us a little bit about the favorite.
So favorite, it can change based on where the money goes. It could change at any moment. But currently, we do have Renegade sitting at number 1 as we speak.
Now, what's really interesting, so you have to register your horse's name with the Jockey Club, which has all these rules in place. It can't be obviously salacious, although there's definitely quite a few that have gotten through that you're like, that when you read that out loud, that's not appropriate. My favorite, I think, is Hoochie Mama. Is probably one of my favorite ones that I've seen sneak through there. But I'm surprised no one's registered a horse named Renegade before.
It's actually quite stunning.
I'm surprised.
And I was going to say that you said the salacious names. I wanted to just circle back to Bodacious Tatas.
Also very good.
Was one of the best ones of all time.
There's
So-
some really good ones. And it was named after the guy's wife, if I remember correctly.
Not his first.
So
Probably
right, I
not his first
remember.
wife either. I would assume.
Maybe that's probably a valid point. It's all about
much
money.
much like naming a boat. You've got anything's on the table.
Anything's possible.
You have to get creative.
So we have Renegade. I wish we had Bodacious Tatas racing this one, but we're not.
Maybe like a different spelling or
Maybe.
something to get in there.
Yeah. So we have Renegade. Tell me about Renegade's kind of got a story.
Renegade has quite a background of ownership. So Mike Rapoli is in on the ownership of Renegade, and you may know him. He's got a lot of things he's been able to purchase, but he's never been able to buy a Kentucky Derby win. So he is chasing that just elusive first win, and he spent a ton of money on it. He's behind things like Body Armor, DE Drink.
Yep.
He's got a large percentage in the UFL, which is that spring football league.
Mm-hmm.
He's also, if you're a St. John's fan, a college basketball fan, he's about 50% of their NIL money. So he's got his money in a lot of places where he's won a lot of things and been able to do things with his money, but he has not been able to buy a Kentucky Derby win yet.
It's
So
interesting.
this maybe could be the year.
Renegade could be the year. I feel like this, but I feel like, this far out, a couple days out, like, do you want to be the favorite? Or does it matter?
Probably not. I guess it depends on how. I mean, does the horse buy into the ego and the praise and or the rat poison, as infamous Nick Saban would call it,
Getting into our
of the
mind.
media telling you how good you are? Does your horse listen? Is he on Twitter reading how good he is
watching
at
Fox
night?
News, what's happening?
Yeah. So depending on the horse's mindset, maybe you do want to be the favorite, but the favorites don't always win. Actually, rarely do they win. So it's just such a crapshoot. Once they get the draw for what lane they're going to be in, that plays a huge factor as well. So
I want to
hopefully
share
Renegade's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah. So I want to call out a couple of the horses we have. We obviously have kind of mid-range ones that you pointed out to me, were the Puma, who's at this point when we record this podcast is 10 to 1 odds. Man-Mint 6 to 1 odds. Some other ones you might pick based on names. I'm really enjoying Potente. So Happy, Emerging Market, Full Effort, Incredible, Golden Tempo. Now, any of these could also be scratched, right? They could pull these at any point in time for temperature, fever, etc.
Anything, yes. I think we've seen the favorite pulled like 5 minutes before the race, which throws everything into just
downward spiral from betting perspective.
Downward spiral, yes.
So talk to me about, we're talking about, I read that Commandment that's recording is 6 to 1 odds.
Yes.
Talk to me about a little bit what that means, but how to bet horses, because you're really never going to bring this up in any other conversation, nor are you going to hear this. This is a whole different betting strategy that you don't hear at all, except for in horse races, in terms of the win play show.
Win play. So yeah, sports betting does not really apply to any other sporting event that you would be betting on at any point. And that's what makes it so interesting, and that everyone, a few mint juleps makes you a genius.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bet a regular game, like say if you bet on the Super Bowl and you had Seattle Seahawks at minus 110 to win, those odds would be locked in. But horse racing, the odds don't lock in until like the start of the race. So
Interesting.
even though you have this ticket, it could change.
I don't think I realized that. So if I put a bet on emerging market at 20 to 1,
It could
when the race starts, he could be 1 to 1, and so I wouldn't have the same odds.
correct. Yeah.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different. And most people don't understand that when placing bets, which why should you? You probably shouldn't know what you
You're
have to
also
know that.
not
Yeah.
maybe betting once a year.
No, exactly. And there's different ways to bet. Obviously there's no spread. You don't have a horse winning by 3 points.
Right.
So win, place, and show. So win would be like your money line bet or just to bet straight up on a horse.
So I
So
I pick I
just to
pick
win,
Renegade to win.
yes, and that's the easiest one to make. And then you have place, which is second place, and show is third. So a win, place, show is like one of the most popular bets in horse racing.
Right, and so you would say, like, win, Renegade, place, further ado, show,
Mhm.
commandment, and then that bet wouldn't lock me into essentially having them. I'm betting that they're gonna come in those order, and
Correct. Yes. So it's just a little bit different than your normal any other sports betting. I think we'll probably do like a specific video coming out soon
I think that would be that's
to dive
it's
more
super
into it.
helpful.
Yeah.
Well, what we like to do at our when we go to derby parties or if we throw one is put all the horses' names in a hat, and then people
Mhm.
just draw a name. So if you're going to a party or putting one on, it's a really fun way to do it because then you're cheering for a horse. It doesn't really matter what their odds are
Mm-mm.
because they still have a chance. I mean, if they're 60 to 1, maybe a little less, but like you get a chance to just cheer for a random horse. You didn't have to overthink it. And so it's
No.
kind of a fun way to do that.
Yes. I'm seeing a name here that currently is the lowest odds to win. But Silent Tactic. Now that sounds
Mm,
like someone who's very sneaky.
I wouldn't trust
And
silent tactic.
with those odds, he might just show up at the finish line.
You
No one
never
knows how
know.
he got there.
Kentucky Derby is coming up on Saturday, May 2nd at 6:57 PM Eastern Time, and that means you tune in at 6:50 because by 6:58 and a half, you're basically
It's
done.
over.
So tune in by at least
Yes.
6:50 Eastern Time. It's on NBC. There's coverage all day long, so you got that if you want that going for you. Is there anything that we didn't cover today that you wanna talk about?
And the consistency of the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
the longest running consecutive sporting event in history. It's never missed a year in the 152 years that it's been around. So it's survived depressions, world wars, COVID, everything. They've run it.
Mhm.
So they've got a lot of consistency on their end, and that's why it's such a big deal to start the Triple Crown.
So death, taxes, and Kentucky Derby.
Yes, pretty
Okay.
much.
Things you can count on.
Yes.
Well, whether you're cheering for the horses, the hats, or the mint juleps, we've got everything you need to know to walk into that Kentucky Derby party and absolutely enjoy it and kill it in conversation. And thanks for joining us this week. And that's the sports news you'll want to spill.